Jettage intensifier pumps utilize high pressure and low pressure check valves to control the flow of process water in and out of the intensifier. The check valves will need to be serviced as preventative maintenance to prevent the intensifier from cycling erratically. In addition to the intensifier cycling erratically, one may notice excessive heat on the high pressure end. The check tube temperature sensors, if equipped, will alarm, or the machine is giving an overcycle alarm. An overcycle alarm on some machines is seen as the intensifier on pilot light blinking. The high pressure check valve components will need to be serviced more frequently than the low pressure check valve components. The frequency of servicing the check valves depends on the duty cycle and the water quality. A more severe duty cycle and/or poor water quality will result in accelerated wear and require more frequent check valve servicing. The high pressure components consist of a high pressure poppet, poppet spring, and seat. To service the high pressure components, turn off the intensifier pump, turn off the process water, and lock out the machine. Verify the high pressure gauge in the system shows no pressure. Manually cycle the intensifier pump from the directional control valve to release any trapped energy. Using 2 wrenches, loosen the high pressure water connection going to the high pressure poppet body. Loosen any other connection in the high pressure water system to aid in removing the high pressure line from the poppet body. Remove the high pressure water line. Using a 1 1/4 inch wrench or crow's foot, loosen the poppet body to the check tube connection. Unthread the poppet body from the end of the intensifier. Be prepared to catch the high pressure seat if it falls out during removal. If the seat remains in the check tube, use a pick or a small screwdriver to remove. With the poppet body removed, turn the poppet body over to remove the high pressure poppet and the check spring. Inspect the components. If the sealing surfaces of the check seat and the poppet are damaged, replace the components. Inspect the bore of the poppet body. If the bore where the spring is located is worn or damaged, the poppet body needs to be replaced. All wear components in the high pressure check valve should be replaced if damage is seen. If used components are installed with new components, erratic intensifier operation may continue. Clean the poppet body with degreaser and the check tube threads on the intensifier. Apply precision lubricant on the threads of the poppet body, on the outside diameter of the check spring, and on both of the tapered sides of the check seat. Insert the check spring into the poppet body, then the high pressure poppet into the poppet body. Place the check seat onto a small straight tool. Insert the tool into the bore of the check tube and push the seat towards the check tube. Remove the tool and verify the seat is in the proper location. Thread the poppet body into the check tube. Verify the poppet body threads in all the way. If it does not thread in as far as expected, the seat may have fallen. If this happens, remove the poppet body and install the seat in the proper location. With the poppet body threaded in, torque the poppet body using a 1¼ inch crow's foot to 40 foot-pounds. Install the high-pressure plumbing back onto the machine and tighten using 2 wrenches. Turn on the process water, remove the locks, and turn on the intensifier pump. Leaving the water tool off, build up to the maximum pressure and check for leaks. If no leaks are present, turn on the water tool and verify proper operation. The machine is ready to be brought back into service. Low pressure poppet service requires removal of the high pressure end. Follow the proper steps to remove the high pressure end and separate the high pressure end cap from the high pressure cylinder, as you would do during a high pressure seal change. On some models, removal of the inlet water fitting and the high pressure poppet body is necessary. The best practice is to loosen the connections prior to the removal of the high pressure end. With the high pressure end cap separated from the high pressure cylinder, use a plastic dowel to remove the check tube from the high pressure cylinder. Inspect the low pressure poppet for movement in the low pressure poppet housing by shaking the check tube to ensure the poppet moves in the poppet housing. If the poppet doesn't move freely when shaking the check tube assembly, the poppet and housing may be worn, causing the poppet to lodge in the poppet housing. Using a 5/32 inch hex key, remove the inlet poppet screw. Remove the poppet housing and the inlet poppet. Inspect the inlet poppet and the check tube face where the inlet poppet seats. If damage is noticed, discard the poppet components and lap the check tube face. To lap the check tube face, use a lapping stone and abrasive lapping compound. Place the lapping stone on a solid surface and apply the lapping compound to the face of the stone. Move the check tube face in a figure-8 motion on the lapping stone. Check the face of the check tube periodically to see when the face is flat. This process will need to continue until the surface the poppet seals on is all the same color. Depending on the amount of wear, this may take up to 10 minutes or longer of lapping the check tube face. If the face is severely worn, a new check tube body should be purchased and installed. When the check tube is finished lapping, thoroughly clean the check tube with a solvent and shop air. Replace the poppet housing if worn, or clean the existing poppet housing with a solvent and shop air. Install the new inlet poppet into the poppet housing and the poppet housing onto the check tube face. The inlet poppet housing has a guide pin to aid in orientation. Apply precision lubricant to the threads of the new inlet screw sparingly. If excessive lubricant is used, it may cause the poppet to stick. Install the screw into the check tube torque the hollow screw to 65 inch-pounds. To verify operation, shake the check tube. You should hear the inlet poppet opening and closing with a clicking noise. You can now install the repaired check tube into the high pressure cylinder and onto the machine. Follow the proper instruction to install the high pressure end onto the intensifier. After the machine is reassembled, remove the lock from the power source, verify that no leaks are present, and the system is operating properly.